Yeah, me too. I always get nervous about it too, because I remember like a whole year ago, I did a Pat Rattrick's podcast back when he still had one of those or whatever, and I was like, "How are we gonna record this?" And he was like, "You should be able to record on OBS and go on Discord." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, no, I had no, like, I like to think I'm pretty good with computers, and I would have to, like, sit down and try it a couple of times, but I feel like, so what's really funny, I could see Audacity going, and it's picking me up just fine, and then there's, like, a long stretch of, like, nothing happening after that, so I know it's picking me up, but, so when I send this file to you, it's not going you're not gonna hear anything that you're saying, and I'm gonna sound like a madman
dude,
talking to myself.
I know it's so awkward whenever I edit these. I just did one with Gabriel Oliver a few weeks ago when I was looking at like the footage of myself. It's just me sitting here in this chair going like,
Yeah,
right to nothing. It's so awkward without the other audio.
it's perfect.
Well,
Okay, yeah, so however you want to start, and then we'll just start talking about cool shit for however long.
Yeah, I say probably like 40 minutes to an hour is how long I tend to go, if you're cool with that.
All right, well, I have disk space remaining for 213 hours, so I think we're all set.
Hell yeah, it would be the longest podcast of all time. Podcast till we die, that could be the name of it.
Who would watch that? Who would watch a 200-hour podcast?
What would we even be saying on like fucking week 2? It would just be like insane ramblings from like dehydrations and shit.
That's a Mr. Beast video. That's a Mr. Beast, like, we made the longest podcast.
Oh my god, that we would totally do that though. Alright, I guess I'll just do like a clap sync real quick. So
Okay.
I can make sure I have everything synced up.
Sure.
About 3, 2, 1.
One clap. Perfect.
All right, I'll probably
Love that.
keep that first chunk in too because I think that was pretty funny. But
Yeah, that's a nice cold open, right?
yeah, exactly. I might start doing those. I see a lot of podcasts seem to do the cold open thing where you just like join halfway through some weird out of context shit like that.
Yeah, they like walk into the room and be like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" And then and then they have a conversation. Somebody's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm starting this." And I'm like, "Cool, whatever. I don't care." Anyway.
Exactly. They just roll with it. The guest is always caught off guard. But
Yes.
welcome to Brandawg's broadcast. Thank you for coming on, dude. Would you like to say a quick introduction yourself, like what you do, what you like to do on YouTube and stuff, and what you're into, all that typical podcast intro stuff?
Yeah, spill my whole guts to the internet and everyone who's ever going to listen to this. Absolutely, yeah.
Your entire life
my
story?
name's my name's Matthias, better known as Mega Animanic on the internet. And I used to make stick figure animations way long ago when the internet was brand new.
Yeah, I was actually gonna bring that up.
Yeah, no, when like this channel started as an animation channel, like my thing was making Spider-Man cartoons out of stick figures, and it just kind of grew from there. Like I eventually wanted to talk about like video games and stuff, because that's really like where my passion is. So I kind of transferred this channel, I transformed it into like a video essay, some like talkback channel almost, and that started going like about, I want to say like 2 years. I tried to make the transition, so I've been steadily making videos for like about a year and a half now, and yeah, I kind of talk a little bit about everything. I'm a huge comic book nerd. I play a lot of video games of like a lot of different genres, so I have a lot to talk about, and yeah, my soft spot is for like retro games, so anything before like anything, I don't know, I want to say like PS2 and before. That's that's a topic I could get into in of itself. The PS3 and the 360 are considered retro now. Can you believe that?
Oh, dude, no, that fucks with me. Don't even talk about that stuff. I hate going on the internet and like seeing comments everywhere from like people who were born in like 2014, and I'm like, how do you even exist? Aren't you like 6?
Right? There's a 2 in your birth year. What do you mean? That stuff makes me feel like a fossil. Like I was born in 95. I'm 29 years old, so I'll be 30 this year. Which like I don't really think about my age that much. But I'm like, yeah, back in my day on like the PS2, and they're like, the PS2? What's that?
Oh
that hurts my soul.
Oh, that does that. My God, it kind of bothers me when I hear that stuff in general about like when the PS5 is already, I get that's just current gen at this point. That's just how quick
Yeah,
time is moving.
exactly. Even the PS5 is getting old enough to get like a version 2.0, and people are talking about the PS6, right? And the next Xbox consoles. I can't think about that. I spent too much money on a PS5. That's going to be my baby for a long time.
I haven't even bit the bullet yet. I haven't convinced myself to like transfer to a PS5. I'm like, I'll do it when I'm ready. It'll
Right.
probably be when
Yeah.
GTA 6 comes out and I have no other choice at that point. I'm like, I gotta play this game.
Yep, you gotta. Yeah, I don't think. Actually, I haven't read a whole lot about it, but from what I gather, it will be. We are getting into the point where they're trying to stop production on last gen console video games. So like they're not printing PS4 discs or was it Xbox X Series X discs, or Xbox One. They're not trying to push those games anymore. So I think GTA 6 will not be on PS4 and Xbox One consoles.
I'm sure it probably won't be. A lot of things just aren't. Even certain games that could probably still run on the PS4 and Xbox just don't, because like why bother with certain ones, you know? Like I know Elden Ring runs on the PS4 even, which I was surprised about because I was like, really? I thought that was...
that's a feat in of itself.
Yeah.
That's incredible. But I mean, they're already pushing to like stop physical media anyway. So like that's a huge push in the industry right now, is between that and stopping the last generation of consoles. That makes me sad.
It makes me really sad too. I like to collect Blu-rays a lot of movies and stuff, and certain like newer smaller movies just won't come out on Blu-ray sometimes. Like the movie Barbarian is 3 years old and it's still not, like there's no word on if it's going to be on Blu-ray. And I'm like, why not? I like this shit insane.
Still. They're trying to, what is it? I see the package every time and I don't buy into it at all. Cause like, what is it? The 4K or the black boxes? That's what they're trying to push right now, right?
Yeah, I'm still on that Blu-ray craze for some reason. I haven't upgraded.
Yeah, no, I pick up the Blu-ray of every movie that I watch. I'm not bougie enough to get DVDs, and I feel like a 4K disc is too rich for my blood.
Yeah, I get what you mean exactly. The Blu-ray's like the perfect middle ground between like, I want this to look a little bit better than a DVD, but I don't need like a $30 4K set or whatever.
Yeah. It's like just high def enough that like I'm astounded by how it looks.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't have to worry about if my TV will display every pixel properly.
Yeah, at this point, I just want the main reason for Blu-ray for me is I just want something that actually fits the frame of my fucking TV. You know, that's the only problem with DVDs. It's like it would be in the smallest frame possible every single time.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. Like there's a weird threshold that just feels wrong to cross with like visual media. I know that, what didn't the study come out like right when they tried pushing 4K, that they were like, hey, guess what? The human eyeball can't even process past 4K. So if you try like going anything beyond that, we're not going to see a visible difference in anything, even if it is there.
You're just going to give it that soap opera look that all the modern smart TVs love to have now for some reason.
I think so. Actually, it's funny that we just started talking about movies first thing right off the bat, because I just saw over the weekend, Thunderbolts, and it was my first IMAX movie I've ever seen.
Oh, how was that?
It was first of all, it was a little intimidating. It was almost scary. I don't know if you've ever been inside of an IMAX theater.
No, I haven't.
But these things, oh my God, imagine sitting in the very front row of a movie theater, right in the middle, right? And then just like looking up and seeing the screen, right? And then go back like 8 rows and the screen is still as big as when you were sitting in front of it. That's how these are insanely huge screens.
I bet it is loud as hell in there.
Like, they're not, I don't think it's considered widescreen, because it was actually almost like a square. Like it had actual height on it too. Like it wasn't like a 16:9 ratio. This sucker had like some width and height to it.
God damn.
And oh god, it was super crispy. It was like the image quality was fantastic. Like I could, you know how, oh, I don't know. I live in a small town, so
Oh, yeah,
the movie
same.
theaters around here are getting kind of rough. So you can notice like when a new movie comes out, and like the pixels kind of blur together just like a little itty bitty
Yeah.
bit, and so the detail gets glossed over.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I could see the wrinkles on everybody's face.
Jesus, dude, that is intense. I have
It's
to. I have
so
to try
like
IMAX sometime.
if you have the opportunity to see a movie in IMAX, do it.
It's got to be
Definitely.
like it's got to be like something really intense for that kind of thing too. So sorry if you can hear my dogs barking right now.
I I heard, I was like, hey pup.
Yeah, I hope they don't do that too much throughout the recording, but you know they're unpredictable sometimes. But is Thunderbolts
Well,
good, by
that's
the
why
way?
God invented DaVinci Resolve.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
no, but yeah, I saw Thunderbolts over the weekend. That's probably going to date this episode really hard. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I do it all the time to myself.
And it was actually like of the last few Marvel movies that I've seen, which admittedly has been shrunken in the amount of times that I've gone to a movie theater. I'm embarrassed to say.
Yeah.
I used to see like every Marvel movie like the Thursday that they would premiere, and for like the last like 3, like I watched Captain America on a Saturday, but this was the first, like I bought IMAX tickets to see this movie on the earliest possible day, and it was phenomenal. I loved the cast. I loved the story and the themes of this thing, and it left like a really satisfying. Like I left feeling satisfied.
Oh hell yeah.
Like there was very few Marvel movies that have come out recently that made me feel like, oh, I'm glad I came out to see this. You know.
Yeah.
And Thunderbolts surprised me. I was really happy.
I've heard really good things about it so far. It seems like the simplicity of it almost is just the key. That's what people have been missing from Marvel movies. It's just like the simple fun of like a team of people coming together and saving the world from some crazy shit or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It like the status quo right now is that they're like playing around in the multiverse, and so things have to be like complex, and you have to talk about different characters and different motivations, and everything has to be layered, you know. And I feel like we got that because accidentally as a result of Endgame, because like how are you supposed to top that, you know?
Yeah.
But Thunderbolts quite literally felt like a phase 1, maybe even a phase 2 movie, where like things, yeah, the situation was escalated because the typical characters weren't there, but like it still felt like a superhero flick, which I have been longing for a long time.
That's really nice to hear that it's like that, dude, because I feel like I get what you mean. They have been chasing scale and like setup so much these last few years that it's really, it does become kind of grueling at a certain point. You're just like, I don't need any more multiverse stuff. I don't need any more of like dimension hopping and shit. I just really want like a simple, enjoyable story, and it's good. I hope that they start doing that more again, because I feel like they've been lacking that a lot. I kind of hope that they will with the next Tom Holland Spider-Man coming out next year, which is something I was going to ask you more about later.
I definitely, I have some feelings about what that could be and what that could lead into. But I definitely miss like, okay, cards on the table. My top 3 MCU movies right now are Winter Soldier, No Way Home, and probably Infinity War. And of those movies, the Winter Soldier is the only one that's like about people.
Yeah.
You know, like No Way Home is multi-dimensional, crazy, jumping out of stuff, and Infinity War is all about space travel and gods and the cosmic stones and stuff like that. So I'm longing to a time where like that stuff mattered a little less, and I feel like Thunderbolts achieved that. Unfortunately, like the next 3 movies we're about to get are going to be really big intergalactic multi-dimension hopping stories.
Yeah, it's weird.
So we're not going to get it right away, but I'm hoping that
This is gonna be like a
Secret
wake up
Wars
call
is
on the
gonna be a
way.
giant reset button. Like honestly, that's what I want out of this.
Yeah, I hope so too. Like the start of something new. Like they don't need to entirely reboot the universe or something, obviously, because that would be a lot to just completely reboot almost 20 years of storyline.
Sure.
But like
Sure.
a fresh start is just what everyone's been seemingly asking for, where they can just jump back in again with no confusion after all these years and just like it again. And
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a time when yeah, we're gonna have some crazy cosmic stuff that's about to happen, but on the other side of Secret Wars is going to be like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. The X-Men specifically is going to be insanely good. All of that is about, like everybody knows that the X-Men and mutants are Marvel's substitution for racism and stuff like that. So, and discrimination. So it's a lot of like personal character stories, and we haven't really gotten a lot of that stuff, I think, since like even like Iron Man 3,
oh God,
Thor
I love
2,
Iron Man 3.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Just like taking these larger than life characters and painting them as very human. That was what I was always enjoyed about like specifically the Iron Man movies back in the day, was how how much they were able to humanize Tony Stark, because even in the comics sometimes he can kind of feel like this larger than life genius, and he is. But in the movie, they're like, hey, he's still a guy, though. Like, he's still a fucking dude who makes mistakes and says stupid shit sometimes.
Right. Yeah, my favorite, I think back to, like, the first Iron Man movie, obviously, that's, like, when he has his, like, character, reversal, when he starts going from being all about the money and the fame and stuff, and he becomes a lot more introspective. But even in like the third Iron Man movie, where he thinks about, really wanting to like have a family and his weird feelings about his parents and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, I just miss a lot of that, and like No Way Home kind of touched on it when Peter lost Aunt May and suddenly he had to like recalibrate what was important to him. But like, we didn't see that in like Multiverse of Madness, we didn't see that in like Wakanda Forever. That sort of like Wakanda Forever kind of has to live in the shadow forever for Chadwick Boseman's passing, rest in peace. But like I feel like if that death had been able to have been shown on screen, like we see kind of a lot of things in post-production because it happened off screen. If that had happened, I would have had better feelings about that movie, but because like we can't see a lot of it, and then the pandemic happened, so there's all these extenuating circumstances of what should have been really good movies, but they did. I feel like they haven't landed on their feet since Thunderbolts. Like will be the first movie that I feel like they just fucking nailed it. Like it's really good. About that down to earth people stories.
I get what you mean. Like I there's a lot of aspects to like about the movies they've been doing the last few years, but like they don't fully like 100% land, like hit the landing for me. There's always something that I'm kind of like about. Like I liked a lot of things in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, but like you said, that human aspect, like that took like such a wayside. I feel, I don't know, the first movie had a lot of focus on like him as a person and like growing from being this bitter dude to like a fucking wizard who saves people or whatever. But the second movie has like one scene at the very beginning where he's like, man, I wish I was still dating this girl, and then that's it.
Yeah, and then they don't think about it at all ever again.
No, yeah,
until
exactly.
the one point where like he's trapped in a cage and all of a sudden the lady's in front of him again. And then at the very end of that movie, after he meets his dark, depressed self, that was like, I used to love people and now I hate everything because I'm by myself. And like, that's it. That's all that he gets in that movie. And then he friggin' has to kill Scarlet Witch, and then he gets sucked into the dark dimension with his new hot wizard girlfriend, and like that's it.
Oh my God, I forgot about
moved
that
on.
Part. I forgot that even happened at the end, that post-credit scene or whatever.
Yeah, he grows like a weird CGI third eye in the middle of his forehead, and then they go into a
Yeah,
portal.
that post credit just completely undoes that ending scene too, where you're like, oh my god, what's happening to him? How is he gonna overcome this weird new
Right.
third eye? And then in the next 5 minutes later, oh, he's just chilling. He's just got a
he's
new
just
eye.
hanging out with his sweet new girlfriend in the dark dimension. Whatever. You don't have to talk about it.
Oh man.
And but like bringing that up, right? Like every other movie that's come out since then, nobody's talked about Doctor Strange.
No.
What happened? There's
exactly.
nobody's saying anything about Doctor Strange like disappearing off the face of the earth. He's just gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
Chilling.
a lot of these movies feel like there's just no real consequence to it. I don't know how else to phrase that, I guess. I don't know. It just feels like everything is so shallow. Like nobody's talking about Doctor Strange. They would be though. Like they would be. Why aren't they? And
like if we have to, I think they're gonna explain everything, and it's all gonna come in one big mollywopped package in Doomsday, right? Like it's all gonna get talked away as if it was planned to be here the whole time. When it
as if this movie was planned the whole time too, you know. And isn't like the Avengers Doomsday is like them trying to pick up the pieces after everything fell apart with Jonathan Majors, and because that is this. I'm nervous about what this next Avengers movie can be, because it sounds like it has been in production hell for quite some time. It's gone through like 3 different directors, and I think it's back on the Russos again.
The Russos.
Like, come back and see if you can salvage it.
Funnily enough, I think the Russos actually they like stepped in at the perfect time to kind of recoup losses. I guess from during production of the Thunderbolts, the end credit scene that happens after credits rolls. That scene was filmed like a week before they were supposed to like wrap everything up. Like that is a reshoot scene.
Oh wow.
So it was quite literally made with the Russos' permission to help push things forward for Doomsday, which is very funny because it has the record for like the longest end credit scene now. And also they're trying to before everything was supposed to go, like it was supposed to point towards Kang, and Kang was the source of all of this. And it's going to be really important for everything. And
now
there's just nothing.
Now it looks like he was killed by a bunch of ants or something.
Yeah, like what the heck are they supposed to do now? Like there was literally like no talk or trace of anything about Doctor Doom. I think the Fantastic Four were supposed to be in the next Avengers movie by like accident. I don't think they were actually supposed to be like the focus until Jonathan Majors happened. So I don't know. Like I'm cautiously optimistic because of what they are doing with the Thunderbolts. So I don't know. It could turn into something great, and I just don't know it yet.
Yeah, I have that feeling a little bit too, but it's also I'm trying to not get my hopes too high, because even at its best, I feel like they probably won't be able to fully recapture like the charm of like Infinity War and Endgame. Both of those are like once in a lifetime movies, kind of. Even if they have faults or whatever, they're not perfect. Like no movie really is perfect, I guess. Yep. But that's something you can't really recapture to that extreme.
Yeah, I think so. For what I don't know, I'm trying to put this into words, but like Endgame was a weird culmination for like the previous generation of moviegoers and kids. Mm-hmm. Like there very specifically was a target audience for everything from like Avengers all the way up to Endgame. Like you knew who your audience was. And now, like all those people are 10, 15 years older. And they're trying to reach a bunch of different like kids and teenagers and stuff. So this payoff in Doomsday, I think, is supposed to be like the last hurrah for like this era, for like these characters that we've gotten to know so well. So to me, it almost feels like a send off, because now the Avengers team is going to be different. A bunch of the actors are completely gone now. So we're trying to shift from one demographic to another. And it's causing weird ripples in social media. What are you excited for? Who do you want to see? That sort of thing is happening now. And exactly. I don't know. The Fantastic Four and specifically the X-Men cast. That is something I need to talk about, because the X-Men that they're focusing on aren't the new ones. they're not the young guys from Days of Future Past and Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. They're the old ones. It's James
Yeah.
Marsden and Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen. All these guys were there for our movies, not the new ones. So they're using like a mixture of this new cast, and I think it's going to be supposed to be like a send-off for real this time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because they they had a few failed attempts at a send off in like the X-Men Fox universe. I remember going to
Right.
see Dark Phoenix in theaters with my friends, and there was like one other guy there on premiere night too. There was like nobody, and he was like huge crowd for the last X-Men movie ever, right? And we're like, yeah, the whole world
so
is
sad.
eagerly anticipating Dark Phoenix. Oh, that movie
That's
pissed me
so
off so much
sad.
too. That movie
To
was so
me-
underwhelming for me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, like my last, like the movie I had to watch was X-Men Apocalypse. I think that was the last X-Men movie I saw in movie theaters. I didn't see Dark Phoenix. I saw Deadpool 1 and 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine I all saw in theaters, but like
Mhm.
when Apocalypse happened, I kind of just stopped thinking about the X-Men
Yeah,
up until
it-
recently.
It seems like that put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. I didn't hate Apocalypse though, but it did feel like it was so much less than it could have been.
yeah, they tripped themselves up on that movie a bit, but I don't know. I'm want to see what they do with these older characters,
Mhm.
these older actors in this movie, if they try to relate it directly to those movies or if they plan on making them variants or something. I don't know.
Right.
Whatever it is, like just let Patrick Stewart retire.
Yeah,
Stop
yeah.
giving roles to Ian McKellen and Patrick
Holy
Stewart,
crap.
please.
Yeah,
Those
please let
guys
them
are
retire.
so they're so old. They have to be tired of this shit.
They have no clue what the fuck's going on anymore. I guarantee Patrick Stewart had no idea what the fuck they were talking about with Doctor Strange 2 when they had him there or whatever. They're like, okay, so you're in the Illuminati.
Right.
And your chair's golden now, and you're Mr. Fantastic's here. Don't worry about who that is.
Can you imagine explaining to like an 80-year-old Patrick Stewart that his telepathic disabled bald man is a part of the Illuminati?
That's my favorite thing to imagine about whenever they bring back these older actors too. Like, how did they pitch the like Red Hulk stuff to Harrison Ford? They're like, you know the Hulk, right? And he was like, yeah.
Oh my god.
And they're like, you're gonna be him, but you're gonna be red and bad. You're also the president.
That had to have been the craziest board meeting. Absolutely. Harrison
Oh my
Ford was
God.
talking shit the whole time.
I guarantee he probably laughed at the concept. Couldn't even
Oh
help
my
himself.
God. Yeah, I had a discussion with my friend the other day of thinking like, you know, like the Thunderbolts turned into this crew that like isn't anything like the actual Thunderbolts.
Right.
So like, are we getting a actual Thunderbolts movie? Like, is Thaddeus Ross gonna pull a what's that movie about breaking out of jail? I can't even remember what that guy's name is.
Shawshank
But
Redemption.
Shawshank. Yeah, he pulls a Shawshank, gets out of prison, and has enough time to turn around and be like, I want to do good for this country again, and like make his own Thunderbolts. And then my friend was like, you know how old Harrison Ford is right now? Do you think in the 10 years when they're ready to make an actual Thunderbolts movie, he's going to be willing
whenever
for
the
that?
next Thunderbolts gets greenlit, because for some reason it takes them forever to make sequels nowadays, unless it's Spider-Man. They were giving Spider-Man sequels like every 2 years for that first trilogy, but they're like, Doctor Strange, you can wait about 7 years.
Oh, God, that's right. Yeah, the first Doctor Strange movie came out, what, like
16, I think it
2015,
was.
something like that? That's crazy work.
Yeah, and then
Crazy
I was
work.
curious a few weeks ago. I was like, I wonder if they're even doing a third one of those, and they are, I think. But they were like, oh, it's probably not even going to start production until like 2027. So I'm like, Jesus
Right.
Christ, does this guy just not get movies? He's going to be
It's
Benedict
sad.
Cumberbatch is actually going to start getting old before they
Yeah,
can do
no.
anything interesting with Doctor Strange.
How old is Benedict Cumberbatch.
He's probably like
Let's
in his 50s or something, I'd say, right?
Yeah, something like that. If he can pull the gray hair very well. He's got
Mhm.
wrinkles, so yeah,
Yeah,
I would say I don't know, like 50 something.
I could see him
And
sticking
we want to
around for a
wait
bit
like
more.
another 5 or 6 years before we give him another movie.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's one of those things I wanted to mention too. It also depends on like how long he's willing to stick with it too. Because he's already been Doctor Strange for almost 10 years, maybe 10 years at this point. Like, that's crazy to me. I remember
Google
when.
says he is 48 years old.
Oh, he's almost 50. Okay, I remember it was like a big deal back in like Infinity War Endgame saga. They were like, everyone was like, "Can you believe Robert Downey Jr.'s been with the MCU for 10 whole years?" And now that's like all of them. There's like
Yeah.
Tom Holland has almost been in it for 10 years now, which is fucking crazy.
They're going to make him play this role till he's 90.
You know, they literally might with him. Like they're just gonna never let him go or whatever. Especially since he's gonna keep looking young for so long too. And they're gonna be like, okay, so in this movie, Spider-Man's gonna be turning 30, and he's gonna be like, I'm 55. Fucking 55 years old. Man.
Yeah, they'll pull a Batman Beyond, and they'll just
Yeah.
have whatever Iron Man comes out to Tony Stark, and freaking Robert Downey Jr. will be old and gray in a wheelchair and still giving calm support or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That stuff doesn't matter. Because I mean, if you're, according to Shamik Moore, it doesn't matter from Spider-Verse or whatever. I remember him so heavily insisting that he still looks like he could play like a teenager, and everyone was like, "No, you can't, dude."
Sometimes you just have to let it die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just let it die.
Spider-Verse wasn't enough, man. Gosh, that movie, I wonder if that's ever going to happen still at this point. I brought that up to one of my friends recently, and I was like, hey, can you remember there was a time where the third Spider-Verse was supposed to be out like a whole year ago at this point?
Yeah, that's crazy work. I can't even think about the situation that pushed them to make that movie go back. Like, what is it, 2 years? It's
I
2027?
can't believe they set a release date. They were so confident with that release date at first that when that movie first came out, I thought that they must be like pretty much done with the third one already. I was
Oh,
like, oh, they
yeah.
must be already done to have that release
Yeah,
date, and
this
they
kind
just
of thing,
weren't.
they developed them in tandem or something.
Yeah,
There's
but
no
apparently
way
that
they
wasn't the
could have been
case.
done.
I kept seeing tweets and stuff later on that like they were just now getting people to do lines and stuff, and I'm like, is this movie not even
That's
started
insane.
yet? Like, why the fuck would you set a year later release date for an animated feature of that fucking grand scale if you haven't even like started recording lines for it yet? That's insanity.
Yeah,
It took you 5 years to make the first
How
sequel.
many different animation styles are in the first two movies
Oh
alone?
my god, I can't even imagine, dude. It's
They had to have like, there's no way that they didn't start stuff. That like they had to have
Yeah.
had like storyboards and stuff filled out, but like, I don't know. Like I can't even come up with a reason why there would be set that release date so concretely if they didn't have the movie.
yeah, no, they just didn't. They had nothing. It seems.
They're learning lessons from YouTubers about not having stuff done on a certain time, and they just push it back whenever they want.
Yeah, about oh my god, it took me so long to finally realize that I can just like not set ridiculous release dates for myself. I'm like, it's my video. I could just post it whenever it's done. I don't need to be like, this video is gonna be out in
Exactly.
September, guys.
Like, it's nice to, in your head, have these topics of things you want to come up with and put out, but then also, like, you're still a person. You're still a guy that has friends and a life, like a social
Yeah.
life. Maybe don't kill yourself trying to do something you're not getting any, like,
Yeah, exactly.
repayment for.
And it's one of those things too where it's like it almost works better if I can sit on things for a little bit longer instead of being like, I gotta
Yeah.
get this out sooner. If I like wait, I can like it gives me time to be like, oh, I want to add this or this. That was what I did a lot with that Vice City video when I was making it, because I was so much
Sure.
of it. It took me like 3 months to edit the fucking thing completely, and I kept going back to like add stuff because of how much time was in between editing sessions and stuff. I'd be like, oh, I can do this and this and this, and then it ended up being fucking 2 hours or whatever.
Right. Yeah, no, I feel you, man. Like, I have this Grand Theft Auto San Andreas video that I've been working on for almost like a month and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
And I have all of this footage. I literally have a hard drive, and I just took, I don't know, like 20 gig to like make this video of the amount of times like just sitting down and playing San Andreas. And
Yeah.
I wrote the script, and I read the script, and I started recording the script, and then like halfway through I was like, this is dog shit, I don't like any of this, and I scrapped the whole thing and had to start all over again.
Oh, I've totally
And
been
I'm
there.
on like the third version of this script, and I think I finally like ironed out how I want it to go. But now like
Hell
none
yeah.
of the footage makes sense because I was literally just like willy-nilly playing San Andreas, and so now I have to like go back and play certain parts of the game again so that way I could get actual footage of the things I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get what
It's
you mean.
insanity.
I've had moments like that too before where I'm like, I don't think this is the direction I want to go at all with this video. And then you just have to like
Yeah.
completely rework it. It's really worth it sometimes though, because you'll end up with a completely different result than what you were expecting, and you're like, this is better. This is definitely better than what
Yeah.
I was working on.
I will be much happier with this version of this thing once I can finally get it off of the freaking Resolve and onto the internet. But yeah, and I got that. I'm behind on like 3 other videos. Like I'm trying to work on a Call of Duty video for Modern Warfare. I'm trying to work on Guitar Hero at the same time. Like
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I'm juggling a little bit too much, and it's getting to me. But you know, we ball.
Yeah, exactly. I've had that point too recently where I kind of want to start coming back to content creation on my main channel here soon. I haven't really done any recording or anything really yet, so it's just been a thought. But I've been trying to set up
Sure.
this podcast as well, and I still do that gaming channel with my friend. So
Yep.
it's one of those things where I was like, I was definitely over adding shit where I was like, I think I'm gonna like launch a Patreon and shit when I come back. And then like a few weeks ago, I was like, I'm not gonna launch a fucking Patreon yet. And they only have 1,000 subscribers, and I'm like, I'm over here like, yeah, on top of my weekly podcast that I'm already probably not gonna have enough time to record, I'm gonna do a bonus episode every week on the Patreon. And then I was like, fuck that, dude. I don't even know if anyone's gonna buy into it right now. I'm not doing that until I have like at least 10,000 subscribers or something, you know?
Yeah, no, props to you, man. Like, I've wanted to do a podcast. I had a gaming channel with my younger brother for a little while there.
I was gonna ask
called
about that actually. That was one of my questions on my list.
Yeah, I had, so me and my younger brother, we shared a room until I was like 15 years old, and we played a lot of video games together. And
Yeah.
there are some that we've played more than others, and we thought maybe at some point, like we sat down and watched the Game Grumps, and we were like, guys, this is perfect. We could just sit on a couch, get a microphone between us, and just yell at video games, and it'll be great. And that's basically what we did. Like we started it way back in like 2015.
Yeah.
And we ran that bitch for like a year and a half, and it was great. And then life happens, right? Like I graduated high school, I moved out with my then girlfriend, and like we just had life happen.
Yeah.
And then I come back home, and I moved back into my old house, into my parents' house, and my brother is now just like up the road, like I could throw a rock into his window, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you remember that dumpy little YouTube channel we had? And he was like, yeah, sure, man, what's going on? And I was like, well, let's just reboot it. Let's
Yeah,
just
hell
redo
yeah.
it. And we'll set things back up. I have my own little office, and I don't have this crappy headset mic anymore. We have like an actual, like I bought a Blue Yeti just to do this.
Oh yeah.
And we set things up in my office, and we just started playing games again, and it was awesome.
Hell yeah, dude.
And then everybody started having kids. So
Yeah.
now like my younger brother has his own child, and I have 2 of my own, and life gets in the way. And so that channel kind of fell apart. Like halfway through like 3 playthroughs, I think we were doing like 3 different video games, and
Yeah.
Let's Play is like in my blood. I love playing video games, and I gave it a shot, but I found that I found that it was much more gratifying to talk about video games in my own way, about like finding a
Right.
subject to compare them to, and just talk about how this stuff relates to real life, you know, like
Hmm.
how some games can reflect like violence, and how some can make you talk about death, and how some can simulate what you wish you had in your life and stuff like that. So that sort of thing I wanted to talk about in my own way. And so I started redid this whole channel so that I could talk about games like Final Fantasy and Metal Gear Solid and Crash Bandicoot and stuff. And, you know, like I don't have to sit and try to find stuff to talk about in episodic nature. You know, I could just sit here and write a script and start
Yeah.
talking about video games, which I thought was just way more rewarding,
I get what you
creatively
mean.
and personally.
And you comedically as well, for me, you might get that too a lot, where it's like I feel like writing it, being able to like write my own jokes in my videos that I can just read later. I feel like they come across a lot more funny and thought out than like anything I say on my gaming channel, because it's just slop off the top of my brain,
Right.
you know. But like some of the jokes that I'll like write in my videos, I'm like genuinely proud of. I'll like go back and watch a video I
Sure.
made 2 years ago, and I'm like, that's funny. That's a funny joke. I forgot I wrote that.
Yeah, no, I totally, like, I'm envious of your writing style, because a lot of it is like slapstick, like this, obviously, like I'm setting up a joke to talk about a certain thing. Oh, that's my Siri. Hello. It's time for bed. No, but like, so like you're able to weave comedy into your stuff like really, really well. And I like that about your videos. And I wish that I had that sort of like I want to be analytical about my shit. And so I talk about things in a very precise way. And sometimes I'm
Right.
like, that would be a really funny place for a nutsack joke. But unfortunately, I'm not good at comedy. And so I just kind of glaze over it. But then like, oh, Brandawg posted a video. And so that one, the most recent one about fishing, I love that shit. That fishing video, I
thank you,
watch
dude.
that at least like once a week.
I really appreciate that a lot, because that's a big part whenever I'm writing them. It's not like I really try to make them funny, because I don't know if what I'm saying is interesting enough to like really get people's attention. So I'm like, I at least got to make them like laugh at something, laugh into subscribing pretty much. But
What's really funny, so I have a playlist of videos that I just throw on and put like an ear pod in, and then put my phone in my pocket, and I don't even like watch the video. I just listen to it, because like after I've watched it like a time, I know like what's happening on screen.
right.
So like I put that shit in my ear, and then I like go about my day. Sometimes I'm at work, and like I'm just I work in like the early morning hours, and so even before like a store opens, I am putting stuff out. And there's a couple of other people around me, and then sometimes I forget like a joke is in a video somewhere, and I'll just start laughing about it, because like I remember that joke, and it's very funny, and it gets me a lot of weird looks.
Oh, yeah,
But just
I
know
know
that
what
they
you
are
mean.
very much appreciated when you say the craziest shit, and I start laughing very hard. It does get me in trouble at work.
Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate that a lot. I'm glad that it works for you. It really means a lot. I think a lot of it too is that like a lot of the channels that I kind of watched before I got into doing it
Sure.
myself inspired that. Like there's this one who I couldn't recommend more that you check out, and I don't keep it a secret at all that I'm like, my style of comedy and like how quickly I fucking talk in all my videos is really inspired by him. But it's this dude called Purposeless Rabbit Holes, if you know him.
Yeah.
Genuinely one of the funniest people to talk about, like, that does that kind of content on YouTube. I feel every time I watch his videos, I fucking die laughing at some of the shit he says. His shit
Absolutely.
is so good. Some of the
Yeah,
jokes he
no.
comes up with, I'm like, how the fuck do you think about that in like relation to this game? How does that pop into your head? It impresses me.
Yeah, the weird little bits that he could just kind of pull out of his ass in the middle of a video. He could be talking about the most serious shit. He could have the most. It's like a Nakey Jakey is another one that I go back to, where where he references internet memes all the time.
Just the way Nakey Jakey talks is funny too. Okay, like his tone of voice
those guys
is
are my
funny.
heroes.
Oh, same. Those guys are like, those are probably my two biggest inspirations. But I don't try to like just do what they do. I kind of want it to still be my own thing, you know.
Exactly.
Because I you can definitely tell when someone is trying a little too hard to replicate someone else's tone, because everybody on YouTube
Right.
takes inspiration from somebody, and I feel like it's so weird when sometimes people like shame them for like being similar to somebody. Like I have this friend, this YouTuber Crisis Variety Hour, who people would be like, you're kind of like High Top Films, and it's like, yeah, he kind of takes inspiration from the things he watches. It would have figured, you know. Like,
Sure.
it's not a crime though that he might make similar type of like video essays. It's still very much his own opinions and his shit. It's just in a similar tone to someone you might recognize it.
Yeah, I feel that 100%. It took me a while to kind of find the format that I wanted to do for my videos, where like sometimes you would see like a person talking about stuff, talking about games or movies or whatever, and I knew I wanted to make that kind of content, but I didn't want to. Not that like I'm not embarrassed to like show my face or anything, but I don't think I'm fun to look at. So I needed to like
I get what you mean.
with
It
a
took me
mascot
forever.
or a character.
It took me forever to want to like actually put myself on camera, because I'm like, I look like a weird big tooth ginger version of Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. I've gotten that comment a few times actually. People are like, you look remarkably like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob.
That's very like, that's so on the nose. It's not funny.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, it's weird that I've gotten it a few times too. Like it makes you start
like,
noticing it more when I wear like a beanie. I'm like, oh my god.
I didn't want to be just like another balding man with a beard on the internet, so I needed like a character or a thing to like show myself. And so like I tried to make a character of myself, which was fine. It was okay. It worked for what it is. And I'm shit when it comes to like actually like freestyle drawing things. I have to like mimic, like I can very easily like see an image and then draw something that looks similar to it.
Right.
But when I try to like make my own self in a way that's original to me, I'm horrible at that sort of thing.
Oh, me too.
So I sat back, and at the time I was watching, what was I watching? I think I was watching Rurouni Kenshin and Dragon Ball Z and Lupin the Third. I was just like binging a bunch of anime like all in the same week, and there was an episode in particular of Lupin the Third where he's like running away in a forest from guys who are shooting at him in a biplane, and he takes some kind of a spring trick, like a rope attached to a hook in the ground, and he wraps it around a tree that's like abnormally tall for this field or whatever that he's running in.
Yeah.
And the biplane's catching up to him, and in order to, he gets the biplane to crash by cutting the rope, and this tree flings up in the air and slaps the biplane right in the front rotor, and it just explodes.
That's amazing.
That was so like, it was goofy and it didn't make sense, and I loved it. And from like that point on, I decided that like Lupin the Third and this character who like is very funny, and he likes to investigate, and he's a thief by trade, but he likes to spread wealth and knowledge and stuff. That character had to be like the face of my show. So I took this 80s theme, this vaporwave thing, and I just ran with it, right? Like I decided that this would be the atmosphere for my channel.
Sick too.
Oh, it's so nice. I just built a new computer, and everything inside has an LED in it, and you can betcha that there's pinks and purples and blues in my room now.
Yeah, I love that vaporwave art that you set up for the channel. I remember seeing that, and I was like, I gotta change my fucking, like, I haven't updated in years, and I didn't want to copy what you did obviously and just do vaporwave, so I kind of went with like, I don't even know what I would call it. I took like some assets from like Cruelty Squad and random stuff like that, and these like green zombie hands, and like put my name in a weird font and shit. And I was like, I feel like that kind of, that like
that
weird
first Auburn Rats intro was so clean. I love that a lot. Like the they call it an aesthetic, but it's just a color palette and like some weird imagery and a font.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
So good.
I was trying to do like some weird scuffed like old browser look at some point, but I was like, this intro is like 30 seconds long. I gotta fucking cut this down to just like the logo.
Yeah, no, it was perfect. It was yeah, it's like it's just that style where like you put a VHS filter on stuff and
Yeah.
some really old looking text. It's it's really fun.
It's always appealed to
Uh
me a lot for some reason. It's just such a nice aesthetic, especially when people do it well. But I kind of, for
yeah.
the main channel, I kind of tried to, instead of doing vaporwave, I was trying to do like, uh, my friend Pat Ratchick, the YouTuber, refers to it as digital lobotomy look. I believe he has a video about that recently.
That's perfect.
Like, you know, Cruelty Squad type games. That type of look is a digital lobotomy.
Yeah, I think we call there's a term for that. I can't remember what it is. It's like something wear. It's like bloatware or something like that.
It's something
like really
it's something
shitty
strange.
programs from the 90s.
Mm-hmm. For some reason, it's aesthetically pleasing for that reason, where it's like, oh, this is just that. You don't see this shit anymore, man. You don't see that weird, too colorful 90s look.
I saw Vaporwave and like 80s tech described to me at one point. It was called, somebody said, being nostalgic for an era you weren't born in. And to me, that's like, wow, that was so surreal. Like that thought was like, wow.
That kind of almost sums up like the fuzzy nature of it almost. Like a lot of vaporwave has this look where it's almost like a dream sequence, or like some kind of weird, your memories clash together in some weird way. So I think that sums it up really well, what they said.
Yeah. It's exactly the best way to describe it. It's like it's a digital memory of something that you weren't alive for, which is like, wow, that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And
really
if I
cool
can
way
like
to put it
convey, if I could convey that thought or that idea, if like making you watch my video and you suddenly have this urge to go watch like a VHS tape of a movie that you saw as a kid, then I have successfully done my job, and you can thank me later, I guess.
Yeah, I think it works really well, and the aesthetic, it definitely pays off. I really like the like channel trailer vibe you put out earlier this year too. I was like, oh, this is sick. This is like the like flipping the channels and shit with like the staticky look. I was like, this is cool. It kind of reminds me of like some of the, I don't know if you know Super Mega, but they have that kind of like a light vaporwave aesthetic a lot too. Sure. Where like their podcast intro is pretty much just this like 90s looking browser.
Yeah, boot up your computer and AIM shows up.
And they it's a really cool intro, actually. You should check it out just for the intro, because it's like they have all these cool graphics of like them in costumes and random shit, and the person's like downloading the podcast off this random scuff site. It gives them a bunch of viruses and shit like that.
All the pop-ups and shit, yeah.
It's a really cool intro. I was like, that's fucking sick. I love that kind of style so much.
Yeah, it's such a good idea. I really love like just that era of technology. Like it seemed like a fossil. Like you go back and you try to load any computer from that era and it's all clunky and things take 5 times as long as they do now. Yeah. But like it has this charm.
Yeah, like exactly. That era, that like fucking Y2K looking ass technology stuff or whatever. That was one of the things that was kind of a letdown about that Y2K movie. If you saw that, was how they didn't really focus enough on that kind of aesthetic. I feel like they did a little bit. Not too much.
It's funny that you bring that up, because it's definitely like, I thought about that movie in particular because it was not what I thought it was going to be.
No,
that was
neither.
not what I thought was going to happen. But just like a horror movie, thinking about the fear and the unknown that comes from things that you didn't know were going to happen, and
they could have definitely done a little bit
different movie.
They could have definitely done a little bit more with the premise than just like the computers turning into literal killing machine robots that are running around and whatnot.
Yeah, that
and also killing off all the good cast members immediately. Questionable choice.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that movie. I very much wanted it to be something it wasn't. And I don't know. Mixed feelings. That's kind of how I feel too. This is a random thing about it, but it's I was really, really let down by the severe lack of Mason Gooding in it. If you know him, he was in the last 2 Scream movies, and he just did Hard Eyes or whatever. That guy is so fucking funny, and he was like barely in that movie. That's sad.
He was in it for like
Yeah, I
5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, if you've seen there's just kind of like a similar vibe that I was going for. It's a video game about like trying to find a missing person through their cell phone. Simulacra or Simulacrum or something like
I
that.
think I might have heard
I
of it
can't remember.
actually.
But yeah, like you find this chick's phone and it has this weird app installed.
Oh
and
yeah, and
she's gone missing.
it starts getting into like fucking the dark net type shit or whatever, right? Some like weird
Right.
spooky shit.
Yeah, like a murder mystery. This person got involved with like a human trafficker or something like that, and she's just gone. And you're trying to reverse engineer how she could have gone missing by exploiting that app.
Yeah, I remember that.
But it's basically those vibes. That's what I wanted out of that movie. Like thinking about all the shit that could go wrong at Y2K, as if there's some entity watching you or something like that.
Yeah.
That would have been crazy. That's like a really interesting concept, and that just wasn't.
No, yeah. They just
just
started
wasn't that.
everybody just got Final Destination by a bunch of electronics, and then that was kind of the whole movie.
Yeah, if you somehow turned Final Destination into a comedy, that's what that movie was, and I didn't like that.
No, I didn't love it. I feel like a better Final Destination comedy was The Monkey, but that's completely besides the point. It felt like that Y2K movie felt they should have made they should have named it after like something relating to Limp Bizkit or something, because that movie was more focused on being about like Limp Bizkit and new metal than it was about Y2K. Just make a new metal horror movie. Why not? That could have been fun.
A new metal horror movie.
Starring Limp Bizkit.
That's a really good name for it.
Oh,
yeah, I
God.
totally agree. I agree. Oh my God, that's funny.
God, yeah, that movie was strange. I'm not sure why I chose to mention that, but I do have mixed feelings on that one as well. But I noticed we've been kind of going for an hour here, so I might run through some questions real quick before we keep chatting. Just like some simple ones, very simple, because I was just kind of curious. We already kind of went over some of the things I wanted to talk about, like your past doing the stick figure animations, and what made you want to get into making gaming video essays. But so now I know that. Don't need to ask that question anymore. I was gonna. This is a small one. I was wondering. One of the things the reason I discovered your channel was because of the psychological tendencies, specifically the Crash one you did like almost 2 years ago now, right?
Oh God, yeah, that was forever ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I have not made nearly enough of those.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I enjoyed that series, and I was wondering if there was any chance that you were going to touch on the Crash Bandicoot series again, specifically something like Twin Sanity, if you played that, or like what is the other one? Tag Team Racing, I think. I played a lot of those when I was younger on the PlayStation 2. I was really into those for some reason.
I have. So it's funny that you mention it because I've been toying with this idea. I actually, Sequological Tendencies was born almost out of spite, because I was so upset that, so you know Ego Raptor.
Oh yeah, his series is never coming back.
Yeah,
I was wondering if it was kind of, if it was inspired by sequelitis.
Yeah, I was so upset because, and this is an issue that it's not an issue that I have with the people and the crew or whatever. Ego Raptor and Game Grumps, all of that stuff. I love their content. I love them as people. I love everything about them. And one of the things that pissed me off was that Ego Raptor stopped making videos by himself because he was busy with Game Grumps. Mm-hmm. And he stopped that series after making like 4 videos.
Yeah, that's like my favorite shit he ever did, and it sucks that there's only like a few of them that you can rewatch.
Yeah, and like 2 of them are about Castlevania. Like that. Yeah. So there's 4 videos, and 2 of them are about a game that I played like one time.
One of them's only like 10 minutes long too.
Yeah, so like I wanted to make a franchise that talked about video games that I played when I grew up. And specifically that started with games like Crash and Spyro and Ape Escape, and I wanted to just, you know, like everybody talks about their favorite game in a franchise and how it's better or worse than other ones. And so I sat back and was like, what if we actually compared them? what if we broke them down and like talked about gameplay mechanics, evolutions, and steps forward and steps back and impacts and stuff like
Right.
that. And it just became like a huge thing, and I wanted to make more videos like that. And I also didn't want it to be like a direct ripoff of Eagle Raptor. So I made a video and came up with this title. Literally, it was the last thing I did. Was I talked about all the 3 Crash games and was like, now I need something to call this franchise. And so Sequological Tendencies came up because I was like, that's a funny play on words, right?
I always do that too, even with this podcast we're on right now. I was like, I did the whole thing. I did the first recording and I was like, I don't have a fucking name for this podcast. So I just went with Brandawg Broadcast because, 2 B's.
It happens way more often than I'd like to admit, where like I come up with this project and I'm like, this is the subject of the video, so I need to call the video that. And then like I ended up changing it in post because I didn't like that the video was literally called like the thesis of the video.
Yeah, or sometimes so, like, the title you have written in your notes wouldn't work well as like a YouTube title, Like,
yeah,
I've had that where I'm like, I gotta change this because people aren't gonna know what the fuck I'm talking about. The algorithm's just not gonna pick this up.
Yeah, like the video title I had for my Final Fantasy X video was something like, it was something like people die a lot in Final Fantasy X, and I'm like, that it's not like good talking about the themes of this video. So I ended up coming up with something a little bit more artsy.
I kind of like the bluntness of that title, though. I feel like that would have grabbed my attention too. I like weird titles that are like really specific, but it's really hard to get the algorithm to pick them up, which sucks because if I could name my videos just the most random shit.
Oh yeah, my favorite kind of video titles are the ones that are like all lowercase with like a dot and MP4 or whatever. It
sounds like somebody is saying something to you.
Yeah,
I used to see ones like that a lot where they'd be like, I used to have this commentary channel where I would do ones like that a lot, where like the title would just be like what I'm gonna say to you in the video almost.
Yeah, it's like a line out of the video.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I know exactly that. Sequological Tendencies came out of something like that, where I wanted like tendencies, obviously that's like what a video game tends to do, and so you apply that to what a sequel tends to do, right? And a sequel tends to either make things really good or make things really bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sequological Tendencies was born out of maybe sequels don't have to be the same,
Yeah.
And in regards to Crash Bandicoot, like I want to touch on there's like a dark ages for Crash in that era, like where like the rights for video games for Crash kind of bounce between a bunch of different developers.
Yeah.
And so we get games like kart racers and platformers, and some of them are both, and then some of them are like unfinished. And so I want to make a video that talks about all of them, but I also want to be able to focus and hone in on certain games in that franchise. So like the next game that comes out after was it Warped was called Wrath of Cortex, and it was the first game for the PS2, and Universal owned the rights to Crash after Naughty Dog moved on to Jak and Daxter,
right?
And they wanted Crash Bandicoot 4 to just be Crash Bandicoot 3 with a new skin. So the game is totally different than how it was originally planned to be. And I feel like that takes a lot. Like you have to talk about that specifically if you want to talk about Wrath of Cortex, because that's basically why the game exists the way that it does. So I don't know if I'm going to make like a Sequological Tendencies specifically about like the PS2 games, or if I'm going to pick like Mind Over Mutant and Crash of the Titans are sequels to each other, but they're in a totally different canon. So I could make a sequological video about those guys, but then I'd be skipping like Wrath of Cortex and Twinsanity and then the 3 kart racers that were in between all of those. So I definitely want to talk about more Crash in the future. I just have to like pick a spot and pick like what I actually want to do, and I don't know if that's going to be a sequel video, if it's going to be a video essay, or if it's just going to be like something altogether. If I make another tier list or something where I get to talk about them each briefly, I don't know. But it definitely, like, I'm not done with Crash. Like, there's so much to talk about with those guys. I will say that the next sequel video that I'm working on is one that I actually just recently finished all the footage for, and that is the Spyro trilogy. The OG Spyro PS1 trilogy. Those are in the works right now too.
Yeah, you've been making a few videos about Spyro recently, and they seem to be doing pretty well too. So I would definitely...
Yeah, I get a lot of positive feedback from those classic games, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of fans of those series too love to hear any kind of discussion about them. They're not... Some fan bases, especially older ones, seem super uninviting, where I get kind of nervous about talking about their thing, you know, because I'm like, they tend to get a little upset. Like, I was a little bit nervous when I was making that Half-Life video, because I was like, this is a... Valve fans, especially like ones who are like OG, can be very serious about this shit, and I don't want them to pick me apart because I like mentioned like one small fact wrong or whatever. Like, I think I said the year that Half-Life 2 went into development, I think I said that wrong on accident, and I was like really fucking worried people are going to be mad at me for that, even because they can be very specific.
Yeah, the thing is, you just got to say it with absolute confidence. If you think you might be saying something wrong or you don't have all the facts, you just say it with complete confidence. Even if you end up sounding stupid, you said it properly, and people are more bound to be like, well, actually, at this part, you said this wrong. And it's more like, if you want to become a part of a community, there's really no way to do it. Like, if you want to talk about a video game, you kind of have to just talk about the game, and then maybe you can follow up on it later. Like, there's not a whole lot you could do aside from just like, you got to put yourself out there and talk about the things that you want to talk about. And then if they accept you, then they accept you. Like,
that's kind of been on the mindset I've been on too, with like certain, especially when I'm going into things I don't know that much about. I kind of get nervous at first where I'm like, oh, I don't want to offend this fan base. But then I'm like, oh, who really cares if like people don't agree with my opinions on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush about certain things or whatever. Like, I'm doing one right now. This video is probably going to fucking kill me too. Oh my God. I'm not even fully done writing it yet. But the next one's going to be on Transformers with Gabriel Oliver. And he's doing half the movies, thankfully. Like, he's doing half the workload here because he really likes Transformers, and he really wanted to do this as well. So, but it is such a fucking insane task still with those movies, as long as they are and how many they are, and there's so much to cover, and it's like,
oh yeah,
I'm definitely gonna ruffle some feathers.
Transformers is as old as they come. That's like all the way back into the 80s, and they've been consistently coming out since then. Yeah, like, that is, oh my God, I've had to accept that already. I'm like, this video might ruffle some of the fan base's feathers, but I don't really, like, who cares, you know? Like, the video's meant to be fun. It's meant to make people laugh. Exactly. That's like the ultimate thing. So like, if that's all that really matters, if people have a fun time with it, and I don't really care if a few of them are angry or not, because like, sucks to suck, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I think that's like an important thing to bring up too, is that like, I don't think any of us were around for, like, you, me specifically, and then like, I don't know, like the mainstay of our audience, how, like, there's no Gen Z or Gen X that were there when Transformers like came out, you know, like that audience just isn't on YouTube right now. So it's kind of refreshing to hear stuff from people who weren't there when that content came out, and what they think about it, and if they think it's actually as hype as everybody says, you know, like, there's some opinion to be seen there, and that's valid. Like, I look forward to, that's why I make videos about retro stuff, is because like, I don't want people to forget about this, you know. I don't want people to forget about the shitty Pac-Man 2 sequel on the Super Nintendo. Exactly, dude. So I gotta talk about it. That trip of a game. Yeah, exactly. That's why I like doing it too, because it's like, it's a personal thing too, where it's like, I've never been that into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know, so like, fuck it, I need to, like, I'm gonna try to delve into this thing I don't know anything about, and also be able to get some content out of it, so like, why not? Yeah, that's like kind of the fun part about it in a way. And I do kind of like the Turtles now too, so it's like, it gives me appreciation for something that I've kind of overlooked in the past. I was really picky as a kid too. I'm always happy to talk about, like, when specifically in making that Ninja Turtles review, literally made that right around when Mutant Mayhem came out. And so it was like really fun to talk about it and then go back and watch these old videos from the 90s and then go sit in a movie theater where everything's now animated in this really cool art style and all the characters are different and younger, and it's just a weird perspective shift. But you wouldn't get that if you didn't see video essays from people our age talking about it and then going to the theater and seeing that.
Yeah, and comparing all the different things or whatever.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. There's no other way for me to describe that, is that I like to do it and I like talking to people about stuff.
I have a lot of fun doing it too, and the reception seems to be pretty positive with those like movie review things so far, which is nice because I always think it's not going to be. But the people will have my head when I make that Dark Souls 2 video I'm working on. They will murder me for that fucking video. So it was nice knowing you until that one came out, because I'm sure you've seen the FromSoft fan base and how intense they could be.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So many of them are so extreme in their hatred for Dark Souls 2 that just me making this like 2-hour video being like, I think this game is good, is gonna have people being like, you should die for that, actually.
I look forward to that video very, very much, because I'm not personally a fan of Dark Souls 2. Like, it was actually, I played the first Dark Souls for like a couple hours, and then a few weeks later Dark Souls 2 came out. So I just bought it immediately, and Dark Souls 2 was really my first FromSoft game that I went whole hog on. And I don't think I made it past the Sentinels. Like, that was the boss fight I stopped on.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting boss fight. That was one of the few that I actually really struggled on too. Yeah. Until I realized that the strat is like to not jump off that top platform pretty much when you first get in there. I was like, oh, I'm not supposed to fight all three at once. What the fuck?
I also play every FromSoft game like a jackass. I don't like the rolling agility functions in those games. You're supposed to like dodge everything and sidestep and backstep and all that stuff. No. I play these games like a tank. I wear heavy armor. I dump one hand a great sword and a shield and a great shield in the other.
That's also why it would be super understandable that like you wouldn't get into Dark Souls 2 as well, because H-Bomber Guys has like a whole video from like 10 years ago about that, but you kind of have to play Dark Souls 2 like you would Bloodborne or something.
Right.
And that isn't something that everyone's into, which is fine. Like, you know, like, and that's one of the I like that H-Bomber Guy video, but that's one of the things that I feel like he kind of forgets about, is that that's just not everybody's thing. And kind of the thing that makes those games interesting is that like there's a variety to how you can play it, but not really with Dark Souls 2. But that's why I like it, because it kind of just so happens to fall directly into like the category of how I like to play those games. I like to have the biggest two-handed weapon, and like no fucking armor. Like my Dark Souls 1 build, I streamed it once actually, but my Dark Souls 1 build was like it was like that Grim Reaper fit, and then just like the giant dragon's tooth, and that was me the whole game.
Yep. When I found out that you can wear the armor of those stone golems in the Dark Forest or whatever the heck it's called, you could get a set of that armor. I literally wear that until I get Smo's armor. Like I get that and then Smo's, and I always have like the biggest sword I can, and then I get
I love me some heavy weapons.
Artorias' great shield. Like that's my fit. Like that's how I play Dark Souls.
My friend Driss from Auburn Rats just like doesn't get it because he's never done like the whole two-handed big weapon, but I'm like, trust me, it's just something satisfying about going into a battle being like, if I play my cards right, this guy could kill me immediately if I fuck up, but if I play my cards right, I could kill him in 3 hits.
Yes, exactly. My goal is to have a higher poise than my boss fight, so that way when they hit me, they get the step back.
Yeah, exactly.
I can hit them with
I've always kind of wanted to try that, but I've never delved in it. I just love moving quick so much. Like fun. my Dark Souls 2 build was the Jester costume, and then this mace that you can buy from the blacksmith at the beginning of the game, and I upgraded the shit out of it, so it was like really it was really strong for like a standard, not super heavy two-handed weapon, you know?
Sure.
It worked very well for what I was trying to do. And that was my build for the whole game. I mean, you'd see obviously when the Dark
I
Souls
love
2
that.
video comes out, because it's just going to be a bunch of footage of me running around like a madman dressed as a fucking jester and all this
I
shit.
love that.
But yeah, dude. Oh man, I just noticed how long we've been going, so I'll probably start to wrap it up here before long. But I was going to ask you just a couple more small questions before we completely, ended things
we'll
off
go
or
off
whatever.
the rails.
So, okay, we kind of went over everything I had on this list, but I was also going to ask you about your series, Here's the Pitch, because you do that one a lot, and that's probably my favorite thing that you do, because I think that's really interesting. I like to see
Sure.
the new ideas you conjure up, because I kind of tried to delve into that too, like a year ago, and I really liked doing the like few that I did, but I want to get back into it, but I haven't done like a fully original idea. I was just doing like sequels to games I like, and that's what I think is so interesting about your series, that it's like, hey, here's my full idea for a horror video game, and I'm just like, sick, let me hear. And that's kind of what I want to try next time around too. So it'd definitely be a bit inspired by your series. I'd probably shout it out, but
Sure.
I was going to ask you about what do you have anything? What do you have planned next for that series? Because you just did, the last one was on Spyro recently, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the pitch. So very much like when I was still in high school, I wanted to be a video game designer. I either wanted to do that or I wanted to be an animator. Because at the time,
Right.
like I was making YouTube videos about animation, and of those things, I really just like making stories, and I want to put them on the screen somehow. I like to think that I'm a half decent writer, that I could come up with an idea and really like go into detail and talk about characters and stories in a fun way. But I am dog shit at creating an actual like product out of my ideas.
Oh, I feel the same way. Yeah.
I can't make a TV show, like I can't film a movie. And I've tried to make video games before. Like I own like 2 different 3D softwares, and I've tried using RPG Maker. And so like I just have a hard time getting the ideas into a product. And I actually got in watching other content creators who like regularly review movies.
Right.
And this one guy that I watch often, Nando V Movies.
Oh, yeah, I know Nando.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite film channels, and he had a show where he just pitched a sequel, or he pitched the appearance of a character in a show or something like that.
He's
and
very
I thought
good
that was a
with
really fun idea. Like
I
just
like how
wanted
he'll
to
just
do
casually be like, hey, here's my whole idea for like what this next Marvel movie should be.
Right,
He'll just like do that
exactly.
like twice a month. He does it all the time. It's crazy.
It dawned on me that like as much as I talk about stuff that already exists, that I could create a video where I talked about things that I would want to create for real life to exist. Right. So Here's the Pitch was born out of this want to, like, I have it's kind of embarrassing on my phone that like every time that I go to like use the restroom or I sit down at a break at work, I start thinking about like, wouldn't it be really cool if X movie had a sequel, or I really didn't like how this video game handled something. So I just like write a couple of words down on a notepad on my phone and then like forget about it. And it got to a point where it was like a huge file size on my phone, and I had to like transcribe them on my computer.
And that's the same here, dude. It's I constantly, I'm writing down like video ideas, or like I'll write down like horror movie ideas in my notes. So there's just hundreds of things that I've done nothing with.
Yeah, and I know that like I'll never be able to make them, right? Like some Hollywood movie buff isn't going to see my shit and be like, hey, I saw this guy's YouTube video, let's just make it. But like I feel like I still want to talk about it. So like I'll make the video about a thing and then throw it out into the ether. And it was really reassuring because I think I either made the Spider-Man pitch or the Power Rangers pitch first. and I threw that out there, and it did like extremely well. Like a lot of people saw it and agreed with me and talked me through stuff that they had in their heads.
Yeah, I saw that the reception was really good for your Spider-Man 1 too, and I liked it a lot when that one came out, because it was like the same type of movie that I had been conjuring up in my head the last like 4 years since that fucking No Way Home came out, where it's like a gang based, like down to earth focused Spider-Man movie, because for some reason that doesn't exist yet. And and Black Cat as well is such an obvious addition, because it's like, how the fuck hasn't that happened yet?
It is the perfect time for that to happen.
Yeah, especially with
like,
his relationship just ending. It's perfect time to not immediately bring Mary Jane back.
Right. Yeah,
try
there's
to do
plenty of
something
options
different
to explore in a potential Spider-Man 4.
Yeah, he's had like 50 million girlfriends, and he's only had like 2 in the movies. So.
Yeah, they've used like the same 2 characters for the last however many years of Spider-Man movies. So it felt good to just like take that idea and then like stick it on the internet. And now
I really liked your idea too, where you mentioned how Harry shouldn't be immediately set up as like, oh, he's going to be the bad guy soon. It's going to be like one of those things. It should be one of those things where like they should, a really good relationship should be established between them, so you actually give a shit when that does happen, you know? Because we all know it's going to happen, that the falling out happens. But like, that's something that even the Sam Raimi movies, even though I loved them as a kid and I still do, they kind of lacked, was that you didn't know like you didn't really see any of the relationship that they had. They just kind of would mention like, hey, remember when we used to do this in high school?
Right.
And it's like, no, I don't, because I didn't see it.
I didn't see any of it, so I don't know. You told me that you were best friends. I didn't get to see that.
And I wasn't always buying that Toby and James Franco could be best friends. You know, it's just that their acting pairing wasn't perfect. James Franco wasn't like 100% great as fucking Harry Osborn anyway, to be honest. I liked aspects of him, but there's certain parts where it's like, I can very much take it or leave it.
Yeah, he very much, like, he definitely nailed being Norman Osborn's son, but there was a weird relationship between him and Peter that I didn't quite catch on to. Like, there's a lot of subtext.
He definitely had the look and like personality of Harry Osborn, but it felt like it lacked a lot of like the emotional core of it, because it's just like they just told you they were best friends. You know, they didn't feel it though. You did not feel that they were best friends.
Yeah, one thing that I think the Tom Holland movies nailed in that regard is that he had like a class full of friends. Yeah. And they all talked. Like they all had conversations and relationships.
They all felt kind of like real people too.
Older movies that like the Maguire movies and even the Andrew Garfield movies to an extent, they had like classes of kids and like people and main characters, but like they didn't interact a whole lot. Like after Peter graduates high school in the Raimi movies, you just don't see those guys again, and it's only about Peter, MJ, Harry.
Yeah, exactly. Like they went to college together in the comics. Like, come on, where's Flash at? I feel like that's 100. So like, I get that 100%. They did that a lot better.
What I want out of a new Tom Holland movie is basically like, give me a movie where like we move on from high school, but I want the social network to still be there. Yeah. Like I want there to be friends. I want there to be besties and enemies and rivals and stuff like that. And it doesn't have to be like crammed down my throat, but if Peter is trying to get into college after getting his GED, then there are going to be people that he's going to talk to. And I want to actually like see them. I don't want to see it happen off screen or something like that. Yeah,
that was a big part of the very original comics too, was just seeing his college life and how he interacted with people and how his relationships with people would change in college after like it was different in high school. Like for sure. I would love to see him and Flash specifically get to a point when they're like actually chill. I know that like in the last few movies they were like okay with each other.
Yeah, they definitely eased into it a little bit.
But definitely. I've always liked when Flash is like a genuine friend of Peter's. Because I feel like that does happen in the comics sometimes. He shows a lot of emotional maturity when he becomes an adult.
Yeah, no, he bullied the shit out of Peter for like the first couple of years, but then like when Flash found out that he couldn't be a person just on his popularity alone. And then like suddenly there was this, it was antagonistic, but like you still knew that they cared about each other.
Yeah.
And then eventually you get to a point in their canonicity where they're both superheroes and they have
Yeah,
to depend on
exactly.
each other sometimes.
I
It was
want.
really
I
cool
just
to see
really
that evolve.
I really desperately wanted to see that like full blown, like frenemies, Flash himbo type shit from the comics. You know, where
Yeah.
he's like
Yep.
that's one of my favorite character types in media for some reason. Is like character who starts out just the worst. And then they just switch to being one of the most likable. Like I don't really watch Stranger Things anymore, but I remember that Steve dude being like one of my favorite things about that. They were gonna kill that guy off originally, and then they were like, how about we just make him a cool character instead? And
Right.
stuff like that works so well for me. Just like
Yep.
taking, or just recently I was watching this dumbass. Have you seen this movie called Cursed? Very dumb werewolf movie with Jesse Eisenberg when he was like a teenager still.
I don't
It's
think
a
so. I know what you're talking about, but I haven't watched it myself.
strange movie, very early 2000s, cheesy, dumb, but I liked it because it was just so like stupid that it was fun. Made by Wes
Sure.
Craven too, all that. But like there was this character who was the biggest fucking bully of Jesse Eisenberg's character for the first half of the movie, and then at one point,
Deserved.
when Jesse Eisenberg becomes a werewolf, he like whoops this dude's ass at wrestling and like puts him in his place. And then the dude like comes over, and at first you think it's just to like apologize, but he comes out as gay to Jesse Eisenberg, and he's like, I had to tell you because you're the only other gay kid at school. And Jesse's like, I'm not gay. And he's like,
my
are you
God.
sure? But then after that, he just becomes like the funny, I guess, gay himbo sidekick best friend for the rest of the movie. And I'm like, I love shit like that, where it's just like this character just became so fun out of nowhere.
Yeah, I love stuff where I'm trying to think of a recent example, but it's really fun to me when I want to say, like, I guess it's antagonistic, turns into an ally, or at the very least they become like a more positive role against the other person.
Yeah,
And one of my
exactly.
favorite examples of that in the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers TV show, you had your cast of 5 characters who were like students and also superheroes, and then you had the 2 class bullies, and those bullies constantly made fun of not only their other classmates, but specifically the heroes.
Right.
And the heroes always retorted back in a funny way. But by the time that was like a 5-season show, and by the time the 5th season had ended, those characters had started to turn like into a friendship almost, where like
Like, yeah,
they
like
acknowledged each other as students,
a frenemies
less
type
so-
situation.
Exactly, where like they would still like harass them and give them a hard time, but like they stopped making fun of each other all the time.
Yeah.
And when they graduated school, like they stopped being bullies and actually turned their lives around and became cops.
Yeah.
And like then they went to helping the teenagers that turned
Hell
into
yeah, dude.
superheroes and stuff like that. So, but they would still do asinine shit, like they would babysit monkeys, and they would like they would get in trouble with the Power Rangers while trying to do their job
Right.
and stuff like that.
It doesn't erase the charm of the character, but it just like it
Exactly.
makes them a more likable version of them, that their previous self
Right.
or whatever. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I very much, and that's just character progression and making sure that they're still entertaining to watch. And I really like when a show not necessarily has to do this every time, but like when a show can turn a bad guy into a good guy and
Yeah.
get away with it. I love that shit.
It's impressive. The Office straight up had me rooting for Andy Bernard for a while there, even though he was just the worst when he started on that show. He was the fucking most annoying dude, and then he becomes actually kind of likable and down to earth
Yeah.
even, and you're like, okay, like this guy's
hard
goofy
agree.
and he's an idiot, but like he's likable, and I'll never not be pissed about how the writers in like the last season just decided, hey, how about we completely undo everything we just did for the last 3 seasons, all the good faith we've built with this character. Let's just revert him back to the worst version of himself for the end of the show.
Yeah, let's keep things interesting by fucking everything up.
Yeah, exactly. It was such a stupid choice, and it makes me so mad every time, because I rewatched that show like a year ago after like 5 years of not seeing it, and every time that choice is still so out of left field. It's like, why did this happen? Why did his character just switch all of a sudden because his dad died? I thought he was over that shit.
Do you ever get to like a cringe point in a show where you have to stop watching it? You ever get to that one point where you're just like, yep, that's enough. I forgot why I stopped.
Yeah, sometimes, and that show is kind of does fall into that category where there's like, I feel like the last two seasons have good aspects, especially the way they do wrap it up. I like a lot. The ending of the show overall, I think, is nice, but like so many things, it's like, oh my god, I can't, like, I forgot how much this is just a drag to fucking watch.
Yeah, no, I get it. But circling, we went way off on another tangent again.
Yeah.
And I want to circle back to here's the pitch. I definitely have other pitches on standby.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to do the next pitch that I have is for an open world RPG game.
Sweet.
That's going to be wholly original stuff that I have in my own head. That's going to be put to paper soon. And then after that, I've had a request to make another 3 phases for a Power Rangers cinematic universe.
Oh.
So I've started putting that to paper too, where I do like the next 4, 5, 6 phases of whatever I would do there.
That's a big one too. I thought that seems like a daunting task, but it also seems really fun to like make your own cinematic universe pitch or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have these fun ideas all the time about being like, what if this Power Rangers talked to this Power Rangers, or what if this character died and this character came in, and like how you would adapt that for film is the important thing here. Is that we're talking about like episodes of TV shows of like 24 episodes or more, and you have to crunch that into like 3 hour-and-a-half, 2-hour movies.
Yeah.
And what would you include? What would you exclude? And stuff like that. And it's just a fun thought experiment.
It is. That kind of stuff is just good for brainstorming, it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. These are quite actually like shower thoughts or like toilet thoughts when you're sitting down, like not thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
And I kind of just put them onto paper.
I like that. I like that a lot because I think it works out really well. And I've been kind of wanting to delve into doing more stuff like that too. Or like, it hasn't come out yet, obviously, because I'm still recording all of these. But like one of these solo podcast episodes I did was just entirely talking about a few of the horror movie ideas I've had in the last few years or whatever. And I kind of wanted to make that like a whole series at some point, maybe on my channel, where it's like what you were saying earlier, where it's like I don't really have the means to make this thing that I so desperately want to get out of my head, so I might as well make like a fucking 20-minute video just like summing it up to the best of my ability, being like, hey, here's what I'm working with.
And then like silently pray that like a director or producer or something happens to catch this video and be like,
oh yeah, I get.
That's
cool.
Definitely.
I'm definitely. I kind of want to try to take that next big step because I've talked about it a lot on my channel, but filmmaking is a big passion of mine, and it's what I would like to ultimately do outside of YouTube someday, you know. So I would love. I need to like get into making short horror films and stuff, and just kind of get my ideas out there. Even if nobody sees them, because it's like it could pay off someday. I could make a really good proof of concept film or something that's like 20 minutes long, and then somebody could fucking decide to give me some money to make a real movie. Like you never know. Like I gotta try this shit, or else I'll never know.
Fucking go for it. Like nothing is going to happen unless this is a lesson I learned when trying to reboot this channel, is that like just do it. Because it's going to sit in your head, and it's not going to happen until you put that foot forward. So like getting the courage to do it is the hard part. But once you actually set your foot down and start doing things is when the magic happens.
I've been trying to do that with my YouTube content a lot these last few years, where I'm like, oh, it'd be really cool to make this video. So I'm like, I should just fucking do it. I should just make this super specific video, and even if it flops, like, hey, at least I tried. So exactly. I feel like I don't know when that would happen, but probably when I do start to get back into posting more regularly on my main channel. I've been putting it off for a while, but I do want to switch my content a little bit to being just like kind of having this thing where it's like it can be about anything, just like whatever topic I'm interested in, instead of just being like, here's the video game video of the month.
I totally get that. The thing is like you kind of box yourself into a corner where you think you have to do something like that you don't want to, as long as it's just like content, you know. But the thing is that like it's your YouTube channel. Who's going to tell you what to put on there? What it's your thing. you do it.
Yeah, that's
So,
that's
like,
that's my whole goal with my Brandawg channel or whatever. When I start posting on it again, it's just to like this is Brandawg 2.0, I guess. You know what I mean? Where it's just
Right.
like everything that I wouldn't have done before, I'm gonna do it. Like random weird video ideas too. I want to start getting more into just making these like big, huge, elaborate things. Which I understand that that's not something I could do every video though, because then I'd only post like two
Sure.
videos a year. Like, but if I could have it the way I want it to be, every video I make would be like the Vice City one, you know, like whatever topic it is.
Yep.
Like it could be something dumb like Wizard 101, and it's just like as thorough as that's one that I've actually thought about doing, but it's just as thorough as Vice City or something. And there's this one that I really want to do that I'm still kind of putting off because I'll mainly for one reason. It's this game called Final Station. It's like this 2D horror zombie survival horror game where you're on a train and you have to like keep the train going and shit.
I loved that game.
Yeah,
God,
you know
that
about
was so
it.
good.
It's a cool ass
yeah.
game. I love it. And one of the video I want to make kind of similar to the Vice City thing where it's like a deep dive into like all this shit, but I wanted to do it kind of I was really inspired by the way I wanted to do this for a while, but like this was what lit the fire under my ass, I guess, was that Pyro Cynical Darkwood video, because you know how he's always kind of had like the YouTubers do the voice acting, and I've done that a few times too, and I just like it's a small thing, but I love when I get to do that because it's just it adds so much to the video. I feel like and I did a little bit with the Dead Rising one. Like you were one of the people who actually kindly agreed to do some voice acting in that one, but like this one, the Final Station one would be like of an insane scale that I'd have to put off because there's so many characters in that game and people that you meet, you know, and I want like as many of them as I can to be filled with some kind of unique voice actor. So for like the last, this is going to sound like a crazy person, for like the last year now, whenever like small channels that I'm interested in will pop up in my feed, like not only will I subscribe and check out their content like I usually would, but I'll be like, this person is someone I could ask. I'll add them to the list of people of someone I could shoot a weird DM someday being like, hey, you don't know me, but do you want to voice act in this YouTube video too? But like it'd be crazy, but if I could do that, it would be like that would probably be my favorite thing I've ever made on YouTube. And there's another one that's similar to that, but to an even more extreme. That's like that old movie Day of the Dead, the George Romero one, you know, sequel to Night of the Living Dead and all of that. There's the original script to that movie was a lot crazier and a lot more insane. And they couldn't do it because it was the 80s and budget reasons and all this shit, obviously. So they made a completely different movie. But you can still find that script online. So like my dream YouTube video would be like an almost like dramatic retelling of it where like I'm narrating like the story as it's happening and like describing this shit. But like I would have like actual people, like other YouTubers and friends of mine, voice acting all the characters in the script. And I would really like to get art to like pay to get art done for like some of the scenes that it describes so people can get like a real visual of like what this movie would have been.
Sure.
Because that'd be like a great homage type thing to make to George Romero type, because he's a big influence on me wanting to make movies in general. So I'd love to do something like that at some point. But like right now it seems impossible. Effort. Yeah, it would be. That would probably take me fucking who knows how long that would take to make.
Months.
But it would be worth it if
that's
that's like something that I'm saving for like if my channel starts to take off at some point, you know, I can be like, I can start to
cross a threshold, hit the big time.
Yeah, I can that can be something that I can focus on like when that time comes and like when I can afford more to like have a budget for a YouTube video, you know, so I can spend money to have art made and shit like that, and like maybe hire some actual voice actors for some of the things. Like that I get you. That would be
my dream. And this, I don't know, like what, not specifically something to like talk about, but like the Sequological Tendencies series was born because I wanted to talk about a lot of games all at one time.
Yeah.
And I found out that like talking about more than 3 games at a time requires you to play a shit ton of video games
all at the same time.
And put like a lot of time and effort down to write videos, like the script.
Yeah.
And I wanted to the big ones were to go over the Metal Gear Solid franchise, the Kingdom Hearts franchise, and the Assassin's Creed franchise. And I wanted to do them in videos all at the same time. And I sat back and actually calculated, because I played all of the Metal Gear Solid games, and I sat back, and just the sheer amount of footage that I had accrued, I realized that that's asinine. That is easily a 3-hour video of talking about them all at the same time.
Oh yeah.
And then so just imagine all of that, and then double it for Kingdom Hearts, because they're all an RPG. So you have to level them all the way. You have to go through however many hours of cutscenes.
Very long games.
And then think about that again, doubling or even tripling that effort for Assassin's Creed, because now there's 13 or 14 games in that franchise that you'd have to play to completion.
Yeah, no.
And analyze everything about them.
You could. I don't know if you could pay me to do
Those
that
are huge.
one.
I could do it. Fuck, I want to do it so bad. But again, that's I'd have to do nothing.
I could help with that one if you
nothing but that.
I could. I knew it wouldn't be much, but I could try to pitch in with that one if you needed help for that endeavor someday, because I actually have ironically been playing Assassin's Creed recently, even though I never do that. I was playing the Black Flag, and I've pretty much finished that one, and then I was playing Rogue, and I'm halfway through that one, so I could definitely get more into this franchise.
Can I declare some blasphemy?
Sure.
This is a super hot take. Spiciest take. I think Black Flag is dog shit.
They're gonna have your head for that one. Don't let the Ubisoft fans hear you, dude. They'll get so...
I know.
That one is sacred for them.
It's I actually trampling on holy text.
Yeah, exactly.
It's walking up and backhanding
next thing you're gonna tell me is that Assassin's Creed 2 is overrated, you psychopath.
No, I won't go that far. Assassin's Creed 2 is really great, but no, I don't
like
Black
dated.
Flag very much.
I can understand
it. I will save the topic for a video, because that's actually a video topic. I was what if I just dunked on Black Flag for 20 minutes? What would happen?
And then I'll make a response video without telling you. I'll just make a 2010 RE dot, and then your video title. Oh man.
Yeah.
I actually kind of tried that a little bit with my Dark Souls 2 video, and the whole time I was like, should I not do this? Is this
just
evil?
tag this random somebody, because
I was trying to be so nice to this video that popped up in my feed, because it was more that their video, they spoke a lot of the things I wanted to use as bouncing off points anyway for other discussions. So I was I kind of want to take them as an example, but not make it very clear that I'm not trying to be this guy's a fucking idiot. I said that I say it 7 times in the script that he seems super nice, and that I like all of his other videos that I've seen, and it's I just don't agree with this one. I'm not trying to be mean here, because I don't want to be one of those dudes who
oh sure,
not to name names, but Mauler or something like that, where it's just your whole personality is shitting on other video essayists and calling them idiots just because you don't share the same take they do. I think that's inherently super toxic and just lame, and they're just those guys have major Redditor vibes anyway. Whenever I find a video like that where it's
they're chronically online.
Yeah, exactly. Why Godzilla Mendoza is actually a fucking idiot for this Spider-Man take. It's oh my god, brother.
Yeah, that's awful. I get you don't want I pray to God that I get to a point where if this takes off and I make decent content for an amount of time, that I don't have a direct detractor, somebody they have to acknowledge specifically for that reason.
Yeah,
I want to be as neutral as possible.
Yeah, that's how I feel too, where it's I'm over here I'm saying my opinions and all that, but it's it's just I'm just in my own fun little corner doing my own little thing. I don't really want to be involved in this grand scale debate part of the fucking community that exists or whatever.
Yep.
Like, not that there's anything wrong with it. It just scares me and I don't want to be part of it.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
Like, I don't want to be the subject. I don't want to be the
I'm,
subject of someone's 12-hour live stream where they just ridicule me or whatever. Like, I don't want to, like, that cosmonaut variety hour dude. You know him? He makes,
yeah.
I like his
Yep.
content, but like it got to a point for him where like on Twitter where he had no choice but to like finally respond to some of the people who have been making videos about him for years now, you know?
Right.
Because it gets to a point where it's like they're saying they're really questioning your like intelligence and all these other things and like your fucking, like, I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but just like they really start to tear apart you as a critic as a whole and like imply that you're
Like
not
your
good.
integrity?
Yeah, your integrity. They go for everything. It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
like he had no choice but to finally start like engaging with that stuff. Not that he made videos on it, just that he was like tweeting like at that Mauler dude and stuff like, hey, fucking how many streams are you gonna make about me? Jesus.
I don't want to, and like, I don't know. I think you can only stay neutral to a certain point,
Mhm.
but you can definitely do things to keep yourself for as neutral as possible. And God,
Mhm.
Twitter is such a toxic, disgusting place, and
Yeah,
I'm
that's
hardly
why-
ever on there.
That's why I had to get out of
I'm
there
like,
altogether.
I'm like 2 days away from just like deleting that account because I only go on there to follow like big corporations that announce all their stuff through social
I
media.
personally recommend it, to be honest, because I'm still somehow able to keep up with like all the news about upcoming stuff I'm interested in and like things I find important without it. So it's like it makes
Sure.
no difference without it being in my life anymore, and I don't have to see all that shit
Yeah,
that just ruined
at the
my
very
day.
least, like maybe like I'll mute my account or something, or
Mhm.
uninstall the app so nobody can
Yeah.
like make another account of me or something.
Yeah, that's what I
But,
did
like,
too. Just deleted the
yeah.
app, left my account there so it can, have its presence.
Right.
I can use it if I need to like reach
Yeah,
out
if
to
I
somebody.
get to a point where like I have to because like either I'm big or I know somebody or something like that. If that happens, then great. I'll probably
Yeah.
end up using it. But for now, it's like it's kind of just there to piss me off.
Yeah, exactly. That's why had to stop. Because the only reason I was telling myself and like whenever people would be like, well, you still use Twitter? Why? I'd be like, oh, because it's really convenient way for me to like get in contact and like get to know
Yeah.
other creators that I like and stuff. So it's like it's a very easy way to do that. So, but it's like at the same time, I hate this fucking app and I don't ever want to be on it.
Yeah, I did eventually. I caved. I downloaded Blue Sky, so I'm kind of on there, and
Mhm.
I browse for that when I want to talk to like people and like creators and stuff, and I
Yeah.
see things that like other people are working on. But really, I just have Twitter because it's so like corporatized, and so you could see like the game developers and stuff that you want to see, and you could see
Right.
the companies that you follow. It's just that.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
There's so many god awful toxic people and meme pages on there that
Already.
really just I feel gross kind of observing, and I wish I didn't have to see it on top of everything else.
Yeah, it's a really shitty feeling. That's why I tend to avoid, because I've had people try to tell me that I should get Blue Skies, but I'm like, I don't really think I will, just because I don't want to fall back into the cycle of using Twitter again, but like
Sure.
different.
Yeah, you really don't like. I mean, unless you're part of a specific community that revolves around using Blue Sky to network, then you really don't have to have it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of only there not as a replacement, but more of like an alternative. So you do that if you want to be a part of a community, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't try to replace Twitter because there's really nothing out there that can replace Twitter. That's why it still exists.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I just took note again of how long it's been, and I also still need to go make dinner and all of that, so I should probably let you get going here soon. But before we like wrap all this up, is there anything that you wanted to like mention that anything that people should look out for coming from you in the future, like anytime soon? Anything you want to shout out? Obviously, like your channel and stuff will be linked in the description too, and stuff like that, and your social medias, of course, so people can find you
Sure.
however they need to.
Yeah. So I am trying to catch up with a bunch of work that I've been on. I got stupid sick, like ridiculously, like close to death sick, like 2 months ago, and it pushed all of my projects back. And so I'm still playing catch up, but I have a couple of videos coming out very soon. I have a tier talk where I rank all of the Grand Theft Auto games coming out soon.
Oh, hell yeah.
I have another one for Call of Duty games after that.
Sweet.
And then a video essay on San Andreas is coming down. That's in the pipeline.
Is that the one that I did the feature for still? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. I was wondering.
I had to rewrite the script like 3 times so that way it kind of works with the idea a little bit better. But that's like it's in the works. Like I'm physically editing and recording that one right now.
Hell yeah.
So that should be coming out soon sometime. And then immediately after that, I'll be switching gears to an old PS2 classic that I don't see people talk about. Without going too much into detail, it is a 3D reboot of the Frogger franchise.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy because that game is whack as shit. But I look forward to talking about it and showing off this game a lot. So, yeah, I got that. And then my socials have my schedule for the next couple of months of videos. So if y'all want to see that, you can go check it out.
Hell yeah, dude. And props to you for being able to rank the GTA series. I had to give up on that when I was doing those videos like a year ago because I was like, I'm just going to turn this into like a retrospect of sorts because I was really struggling to like actually determine what my ranking was. It changed like 7 times while I was writing that video.
Yeah,
like every time I would get more into one of the different games, it would change.
It was mostly trying to recall, like, because I have sat down and played every Grand Theft Auto game, but some of them I have played way more than others. So it was basically me trying to recall what I could about the ones that I played the least,
right.
And then kind of factoring that into, well, obviously, like, I didn't play it for very long, so there must have been a reason for that.
Yeah.
And then there are ones that I absolutely fucking adored, and obviously I could talk about those a little more, but I'm pretty satisfied with it. And I don't know how many people I'm going to piss off with the things that I say.
Well, I'm excited for it because I love GTA and any content related to it, honestly. Oh, not any content. There's a lot of garbage GTA content on YouTube I would not watch, but sure. I love rankings and stuff like that, so I'll definitely check it out. I'm curious to hear your opinions on some of those things. And
for sure.
I kind of felt that same way when I was making mine too, though, because I also would go back a lot to like, I'd be sure of an opinion or like a ranking until I would go back to like replay and get into one of them again.
Yeah,
because it was like I go back, I was like, oh, I'm dead sure where I'm gonna rank GTA 5 or something, and then I like went back and played the whole thing again and like did all the side quests for the first time in forever, and I was like, oh wait, this game is like good as fuck. So it's like shit, that messes up my rankings a little bit because now I want to put this one higher, but I don't want to move any of the other ones I have almost.
Right.
The top 3 were the biggest one I struggled with, so I was like, fuck this, I give up. I just did a retrospect instead.
Yeah, without spoiling too much of the video, I felt that way the most about Grand Theft Auto 4. It was the one that came out in like a weird time for video games with the PS3 360 console generation, and like the physics engine for Grand Theft Auto wasn't quite refined yet.
Yeah, it is a very interesting feel that game has.
So it was weird, and I played only a little bit of it, and it made me go back to play 4 for that video, and I was like, well, like, I don't know, my feelings for it are kind of mixed, but at the same time, like, I definitely lent more one way towards the other. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for that. But it's I had a weird feeling playing Grand Theft Auto 4 and then having to think about it again in regards to the other games that came out around then.
Yeah, I just have 4 is one of those ones that I have a really strong soft spot for some reason, because I think it was the first one I really sat down to beat as a kid. Because I played the shit out of them, but I never really made a whole lot of progress, because they're like, I mean, when you're a kid, those games are fucking hard, and they're still hard for sometimes when I'm an adult, like the older classic, like PlayStation 2 trilogy. I was like, oh, dude, I was straight white knuckling at certain points during that Vice City when I was getting, like, when I was playing back Vice City for that video. I was so fucking mad at that game at certain points. Those games could be difficult.
San Andreas is a trip.
Oh
I
my God.
fucking hate driving cars in Grand Theft Auto games on the PS2.
Yeah, it's
I
a
hate
weird
it
feeling.
so much.
It takes so much to get used to. That's why I played Vice City on the on the Xbox version. It's backwards compatible for the 360, so I just played it there, and it has
Oh,
like
I
the
love
same
that.
standard controls you would expect from like the later entries. And I was like, thank God.
Yeah, I had to go to a game store that's not even close to me. Like, I drove an hour and a half out to this retro game store because for some reason my PS2 copy of San Andreas wasn't spinning, like it wasn't reading in my PS2. So I went to this retro game store to find one, and I actually found the PS3 port for San Andreas, and
Right.
it played really cleanly, and I found out that it had an option to immediately restart a mission if you failed it.
Yeah, oh
and
my
didn't make you
God.
have to drive all the way back to start the shit over again.
Yeah, that was so nice when I played it. I played it on the 360 briefly when they like remastered it or whatever the fuck it was, because I was like, dude, this should have always been how this worked.
Yes, exactly.
There's no reason that shouldn't have been a thing, because I'm fine. The missions in those games can be pretty short anyway, so I'm okay with doing it over again if I fuck up. But it's so grueling to die and then have to drive all the way back, but also
all the
lose.
way back.
You lose all of
that's
your
the
weapons,
worst.
and you have to go buy new guns again. Sometimes I would just reload a save, be like, fuck you,
Yeah.
I'm not buying new guns again.
There was a point in oh god, it's the first like territory mission that you have to complete to like take over part of the map, and I got like 3 stars doing that mission, and people were pissed at me, and I had to get in the car and drive away as quick as I could as soon as that mission was done. And I hit an autosave immediately after my car got struck by a cop. And
no.
so I had like, my car is smoking. It's not on fire. It's smoking.
It's about done.
I have 3-star wanted level, and I have to drive to get my car fixed and painted. And so
Jesus.
every time the game had to reboot, my car is smoking, and I have 3 cops behind me, and I have to book it. And I think I died no less than like 10 or 12 times before I finally just like got the perfect string of no cops between me and the garage.
Oh my God.
And like there was only 2 bikes on me, and if it wasn't for that autosave or that restarting the mission, I would have lost my shit and stopped the video there.
Oh dude, it's straight up stressful. It's like your heart is like pounding when you finish those missions sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this kind of aspect I like about those old ones too, in a weird way, because it does in that sense feel like I don't know what word I'm looking for, engaging, I guess, where it's like I really do feel like a gangster, because if I fuck up and everything goes wrong, then I really fuck up, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, those games are a trip, and like the old, you could see like the bones of what Grand Theft Auto used to be.
Yeah.
You know, like you play a game like Grand Theft Auto to death, and you kind of get used to it. But then like something as archaic as like Grand Theft Auto 3 and San Andreas to an extent, like the San Andreas still plays like a Grand Theft Auto game, but they do some whack shit on those PS2 games that dude. Like you could not get away with that in a modern video game.
No, yeah. There's so many things too that would like just absolutely destroy newer players' playthroughs of them. Like I guarantee a lot of people haven't played as much of those games as they say because they get stuck early on and whatnot. It happens. I've been there. I get stuck and I have to go back.
Absolutely.
Because that's just how that game is. Like on like what you said to San Andreas, that mission really early on in the game, the mission right before you go out into like the countryside.
Yes.
That mission made me lose my fucking mind while playing it, because I would get every single time I would get all the way to damn near the ending part of the chase at the end where you're shooting the cop cars from the back, and then I would lose right then and have to do it all over again. And that was making me lose my fucking mind, because that mechanic, I'm gonna say it, that mechanic sucks. I talked about that in my Vice City video too, actually, but like you probably know that you said you had to spend so much time with it, but like the manual aiming in like especially like Vice City and 3 it's horrendous. On controller it doesn't fucking work. You literally can't get it to go where you need it to.
Yeah, honestly, my least favorite thing about Grand Theft Auto games and Rockstar games in general is how they handled third-person gun aiming. It was just weird. Like
it's pretty
those
generic now. It's simple, but at least it works now. I just hated
Right.
how it felt back then in Vice City, where it locks you into that weird first-person view, and it's
Yep.
just the most sensitive cursor of all time. Like, and you can't
Yep.
change it either. Of course, you can't fucking change it.
There's one mission. I forget how exactly it starts. I think you go with Big Smoke to pick up some dope from one of the Mexican, or who are they? I think it's the Mexican group, whoever they are. The ones with the yellow bandanas.
Oh,
I can't
yeah.
remember their name.
I can't remember
But,
their name
like,
ever either, but I know what you mean.
You go to show up to get some weed from these guys, and they start talking shit, and so Big Smoke jumps out and he shoots one of them, and you have to start chasing the other guy.
Yep.
And you have to on foot run, follow him through like a little suburb where you jump over fences and shit in
Yeah.
people's yards. And then when you get on the other side, he just hops in a car and drives away, and you have to chase him on a bike.
Yeah.
And your bike, the bike controls are so sloppy and loose in that game
Oh,
that it's
yeah.
very easy to spin out, take a corner too wide, and
then just
crash.
Yep, crash
I found
completely.
out how I solved that mission. I died like 3 times and was like, no, I can't keep doing this. So I found out that there's no invisible walls. There's no reason to not be able to just run around the block
and catch him in his
and
shit.
ambush him at the other side.
Yeah,
so
dude,
you can
that's
just shoot him
exactly-
as he gets off of the fence.
That's honestly the
And
best part about those.
It's so
Like,
funny.
Just you fucking cutting him off and killing him or whatever. I love doing that shit. That's like my favorite thing about those older ones is how loose it feels in that sense. Or
For
like
sure.
where the game will be like, go inside this hotel building and sneak out to the top floor and then take a picture from there. And I was like, what if I just land this helicopter I'm in on top of the building and take it from there? Will that work? And it does.
And
I love
Yep.
that kind of shit, dude. It's great. I remember
Yeah,
Nikki
those
Jakey
old
talking about
games-
that forever ago.
Those old games are a riot. I'm really like, I'm glad that I could just like talk about those games on the internet now. YouTube and video games are a hell of a thing.
Yeah. Well, now that we went on another tangent again, I guess I will wrap it up for real this time. It's been really fun getting to talk for real.
You were like, you remember in the beginning, you were like, yeah, 45 minutes to an hour. It's
I
no
always
big deal.
say that. I don't know why.
Fucking
I should start
2
telling people.
hours later.
I should start telling people like, yeah, we'll go for probably 2 hours. Because I did the same shit when I had Gabriel on. I was like, yeah, probably an hour. And then it was like the same thing. It was pushing like 2 fucking hours. But
no, man, thanks for having
Thank
me
you for
on. I
coming
really
on.
appreciate it. I
Man,
really
of
had a
course.
fun time. It's good to just like talk about this shit, talk about the same thing
Yeah.
with this person who knows exactly like what I'm going through and what I'm talking about. It's a lot of fun.
But yeah, it's always really refreshing to get to talk to people who also do YouTube because it's like I don't really know anybody who does it in my personal life so it's like when I get to like
Sure.
to talk to other people, it's like, oh god damn, it's so refreshing to hear other
Absolutely.
people talk about this shit too, and I don't have to try to like explain what I'm annoyed about to like my friend who has no idea
Yep.
what I do anyway, like
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was really great, and
yeah,
hopefully,
thanks for
I'd be
coming.
glad to come on again.
I was
and
just about
we
to
could talk
say that
about
for
other cool
sure.
shit.
yeah, I would definitely be down to have you back again. Returning guest, that would be really nice. It was
Sure.
It was really fun, and obviously, like I said, everyone who's watching should go check out your channel, and your other socials too will be linked, and I'll even put them on the screen right now, annotations and all that too. The modern,
Heck yeah.
the modern of fucking technology wonders, whatever the fuck. I said that backwards, like Michael from The Office. The modern of technologies, you know what I mean?
Can you remember the last time somebody referred to as a caption in a YouTube video as an annotation?
Oh my god. They're not called that anymore, right? They're called like
The cards or something, I think is what they're called.
I
the
always
little
call them
ding-dong thing.
annotations because it's like the closest thing we have to it still. Thanks again. Everyone be sure to go check out Matthias's channel. It was a lot of fun talking to you, man.
Woo.
And I'll end this recording. Thanks for joining me again.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thank you all and have a good night.